Hi guys, welcome back to Thrifty Mama Scraps. I am sitting on my couch, or my little love seat in my entryway, and drinking coffee. It's Sunday morning, and I was just reading out of a book that I've had for years, and it's kind of a perpetual book that's dated, and it's a pretty common book. I think a lot of people read it or have read it, but I read it every year, and I go through it every year. I don't always get to read every single day, but I love this book. It's probably one of my favorite books, and the reason why I love it so much is because it talks about developing your authentic self, and that's something that I struggle with. So even though I think that I'm pretty authentic, I'm honest, I'm caring, I try to be caring and compassionate and all those things. But I think it's something that evolves and develops over time. Just kind of figuring out who you are as a person, and living in this world, and understanding yourself a little bit better. I think a lot of us struggle with understanding who we are, and embracing our imperfections, and liking ourselves. And over the years, I have developed this sense of enjoying the place where I'm at most of the time. As far as like the shirt is like pretty big, but developing who I am as a person, and just being content in the moment. And I do struggle with contentment for various reasons. I think a lot of us do. But just striving for that, I think, is pretty important. So, wow, this shirt makes me look really heavy. Maybe this is not the best choice for me as far as shirts go, but bear with me. It's a Sunday. Who cares, right? Embrace your imperfections. Not every outfit is gonna look good. Okay, so this is the book. Let me see if I can show you it. It's this book. Simple Abundance, a Day Book of Comfort and Joy by Sarah Ban Breathnach. Well, anyways, I was reading it this morning for August. Kind of catching up because I was kind of behind on it for August, since today is the 5th. And I came across some planning things that I've read in the past, but I just kind of like had gotten away from a little bit. You know, I'm a planner girl, so I mean, somewhat I do these things, but some of her words were just really, really good for this week in August. And if you own this book, I encourage you to pick it up again and read through August. If you don't own this book, you can find it probably at Barnes & Noble or online. I think it's a pretty easy book to find. So I'm going to read you a couple portions of it, especially pertaining to planning and sorting out what's important in your life, prioritizing and stuff that I found interesting this morning. And yeah, I hope it helps you. So, and then after this portion of the video, I'll go into my planner for the week, because I still have to do that too. But I just thought this was pretty interesting reading. So, the first day one talks about the harmonic convergence of an abundant life, or authentic life, not abundant life. But it says, do you remember what you were doing the weekend of August 16th through the 17th, 1987? I don't. I do, actually, because I had just broken up with a boyfriend long term. I was 18 years old. Yeah. I remember that vividly. And that's about the time I actually met my first husband. So that's kind of an interesting, yeah. Yeah, because I was getting ready to go back to school. So, yeah, that's a pretty interesting date. I do remember. So, it says, if you do, perhaps you're among the more than 144,000 people who journeyed to power points around the world, such as Egypt's Great Pyramids, Peru's Machu Picchu, Japan's Mount Fuji, the temples of Delphi in Greece, Mount Shasta, California, Sedona, Arizona, the Black Hills of South Dakota, and New York's Central Park, to hold hands, hum, and resonate in harmony in the New Age global event known as the Harmonic Convergence. I do not remember this, honestly. I'm not really a New Age person, so I don't remember that taking place. If you do, comment if you went to this or partook in this. I don't know. What made this weekend so significant was a rare astronomical occurrence known as a grand trine, which all 9 planets were in their astrological fire signs and positioned exactly 123 degrees apart from each other. It had been 23,412 years since the last one. Now add an esoteric interpretation of ancient Mayan and Aztec calendars and a Hopi legend about a gathering of enlightened teachers meant to awaken humanity, and it's not surprising that thousands of New Agers decided that circumstances were as perfect as they'd ever be to direct the earth through meditation toward a peaceful spiritual awakening instead of a cataclysmic one in the next millennium. I don't believe all that. I mean, if you do, go you. I don't believe that there's all that stuff, but the second portion of this article is important. So it seems to have worked. Each week, another visionary book is published, encouraging spiritual evolution as the road less traveled becomes the inspirational superhighway. But there are so many voices offering clues, glimmers, and insights on how to achieve harmony through the divine grand trine of mind, body, and spirit. How do you discern your own truth? And there are so many spiritual paths. Which one should you follow? In undertaking a spiritual life, what matters is simple. American Buddhist master and teacher Jack Kornfield reassures us in his wonderful book, A Path with Heart, a guide through the perils and promises of spiritual life. We must make certain that our path is connected with our heart. When we ask, am I following a path with heart, we discover that no one can define us exactly what our path should be. Instead, we must allow the mystery and beauty of this question to resonate within our being. Then, somewhere within an answer will come an understanding, and understanding will arise. There's a fly that's bugging me because I have the door open, because I let the dogs out. Ugh, leave me alone. All right. Then somewhere within us, an answer will come and understanding will arise. If we are still and listen deeply, even for a moment, we will know if we are following a path with heart. And I think that's important, to follow your heart. A lot of times, it's kind of drilled into us, especially if you're a Christian, because I'm a Christian, to always follow your mind and not your heart. But a lot of times when we just follow our mind, we disregard happiness, and happiness is an important part of life. And for our soul to be happy, we have to listen to our heart somewhat. And it is a balance, and it's something that we have to work at. It's also knowing what is in your mind and what is right and wrong, but it's also listening to your heart with love, because love comes from your heart. It doesn't necessarily come from your mind. So, in my opinion, I mean, others might disagree, but I I believe that sometimes we have to listen to our heart, especially in order to find happiness. For me, bearing witness to my authentic self is the most joyous and fulfilling spiritual path I have ever followed. It is truly a path with heart. It began when I acknowledged that creativity is holy, and I do agree that creativity is holy. I believe that that it's something that we are given, that whatever talent that we may possess, it opens up our mind to accept new challenges and to embrace things that we might not be able to handle on our own. Oh, this fly won't leave me alone. I guess I should go shut the door. Okay. Perhaps this August you might like to convene a personal harmonic convergence through rediscovering, recovering, and celebrating your creativity, the sacred conduit to access your authentic self. It's never too late to claim your individual gifts, resuscitate a dream, create an authentic life. Consider this. What if original sin is denying instead of celebrating your originality? I totally believe this. Totally. 100%. Sometimes I think that by not being who we are, that it is a bigger sin than being, or not being true to ourselves is a bigger sin than following the straight and narrow, because that's the way you've always known, or that's what you've been told. Each of us possesses an exquisite, extraordinary gift, the opportunity to give expression to divinity on earth through our everyday lives. When we choose to honor this priceless gift, we participate in the recreation of the world. When we follow our authentic path with love, embracing our creative impulses, we live truth, even if what we think we're doing is just planting a flower bed, cooking a meal, nurturing a child, editing a book, producing a television show, sewing a curtain, writing a brief, painting a picture, teaching a craft, composing a song, or closing a deal. As the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, poet, and writer Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, our own life is the instrument to which we experience with truth. And I believe that's true. I think we can learn from many different people. And I think that through our own life, if we live authentically, then people will see the truth in our lives, and they will be able to know us authentically. I think it's important for people to actually know who you are, and not like the fake version that we put on, kind of the mask, what we put on in front of other people. I think we can't learn from other people if we are always pretending to be something that we're not. And I think we do that a lot. A lot of the times people, you see people, good friends of yours, and they'll say, how are you? And you say, fine, and you're not fine. But that's just something that we do because we don't want to bother them. We don't want to have them feel sorry for us. There's so many things, but we're all brothers and sisters in this world, and we're all put on this earth to touch each other's lives and learn from each other. And if we're all being fake all the time, then you're not ever going to learn anything from anyone. So, and then August 2nd said, the gentlest lessons teach us the most. And I thought this was really great. It just says, all of us knew about learning life's lessons through pain, struggle, and loss. But few of us realize that it is often the gentlest lessons that teach us the most. 7 years ago, our family went to a political convention held at a beach resort. While my husband attended workshops, Katie and I played on the beach. One afternoon, there was a surprise activity for the children, a ride on an elephant around the hotel parking lot. Katie was delirious with excitement. That night, as my husband and I tucked her into bed, I said, life is always full of wonderful surprises if we're open to them. Some mornings you wake up not knowing what will happen during the day, and you will get to ride an elephant. A couple of days later, we returned home, and awaiting me was an invitation to join a group of American journalists on an all-expenses-paid week-long junket to Ireland to cover Dublin's celebration of its millennium. It said the group was departing in 10 days. Now there are many things that I am, but spontaneous is not one of them, and I am not spontaneous either. I do not like to ride by the seat of my pants. I need to know what's going on. I need to schedule things. I need to plan things ahead of time. I do not like things that just like pop up. It drives me crazy. And I don't like not knowing what's going on. I like to know everything ahead of time. Whether it be a school project, whether it be a doctor's appointment, cancellations, big events that are happening. I like to know, vacations or things that I just need to know ahead of time, so I can kind of get my thoughts together and figure out in my mind how I'm going to proceed. I don't like things that just pop up, and sometimes it's inevitable. I was in a car accident on Friday, which was totally my fault. I don't know if it was 100% my fault, but I was backing out of my friend's driveway, and I was going to, because, I had pulled in her driveway. I went over to her house for dinner because she invited me for dinner, and I had pulled in her driveway, but I noticed that I was over the sidewalk, and I didn't want to be over the sidewalk. So I thought, I'll go around back behind her house in the alleyway, and I'll park back there. So I pulled out of her driveway, and the road that goes to the alley by her house is like one house over. I mean, it's not far at all. And I was probably driving maybe 5 miles an hour to turn, and I had my blinker on, and I was either, I can't even tell you if I was moving or if I was stopped, because I was waiting for cars to come around this curve, which is right downtown. Her house is on a busy street in town, and there's like a curve that goes where you can't really see who's coming, like very close to where I was turning. And I had turned on my blinker. I was either stopped or moving very slowly, and there was no one there. And when I went to turn onto that street to get to the alley, this car just came out of nowhere and just smashed into me. And his airbag deployed. Mine did not. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt, so he had some injuries. I was able to pull my vehicle off to the side of the road, and his car was just like towed, the whole side of it. I just like, it was really interesting because it was like, I didn't really hit him. He kind of hit me. He more so hit me because he didn't see me when he came around the corner, and he was going fast, and probably too fast. And I was turning, and I didn't see him come around the corner. So it was just a fluke accident. And I mean, it's not the first accident that's happened there before. It was just a fluke. So anyways, I ended up getting a ticket. But I don't know if I have to pay anything or not, because I got the ticket, but there was no amount of money that I had to pay. So I don't know if he got a ticket too, or what happened. I'm not sure. Yeah, so that was like, okay, so now I have to drive. My car is drivable, but I couldn't do anything because it was on a Friday evening. The place that I need to take my car to get fixed is not open all weekend. So I have to wait until tomorrow, which is Monday. And I there'll be a $500 deductible. I'm going to need a complete new end. Or front end. I don't know. And like side panel on the left, on the driver's side. I'm sure they're going to total out this guy's car, but it's an older car. I think the car it was a younger guy. I mean, I'd be surprised if he was 18 years old. I'm not even sure if he was 18. If he was between 18 and 20 years old. But he had an older car, like a early 90s car. It was old and rusted. And so I don't think that the car itself is going to be, I mean, I'm sure my insurance will pay for a car for him, but I think that they'll only cover the cost of his car, which I don't think is very much. And then, of course, his medical expenses and all that. He was walking around after the accident, but his girlfriend was just something else. She came after the accident, and with her friends, and like all these people were there that shouldn't have been there. For one thing, she was like being the star of the show, and she was screaming at me that I didn't care about her boyfriend and all this stuff. And first of all, I couldn't, for about 10 minutes, I couldn't find my glasses. On impact, my glasses flew off my face, and I was looking for them everywhere, and I can't see like 2 feet in front of my face with my glasses off. So I'm like looking all over trying to find my glasses, and she's over by my car screaming at me, telling me like, you don't care that my boyfriend's hurt and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And her friends are all there, and she's like being all over dramatic, and her boyfriend's walking around. He's walking around. He does have some burn. I can see, some burns, like a burn on his arm from the airbag deploying. But it wasn't that I was being uncaring. It's that I couldn't see, and I needed to find my glasses so I could go talk to them, because I couldn't even see to get my insurance card out of the glove box. So it was she just was unbelievable. And at one point I said, will you just leave? I mean, can you just leave? And she's like, I'm not going to leave my man. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, you are more of a problem than you are a help to him right now. And he was just all very quiet and just, very calm. And I was surprisingly very calm too. And she just was something else, but that's besides the point. But anyways, all this stuff is just like something that was unexpected that happened. And I was like, what are you going to do? It is what it is, Sometimes these things happen. And I don't like it when these things happen. And I have to like readjust the budget. And I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to get to rehab on Monday? Well, I can drive my vehicle. That shouldn't be a problem. I can still drive with it the way it is. I don't have a headlight on one side because it's smashed. And then I can take it to Collision Concepts and get in touch with State Farm and all that stuff and get all that situated. But like, I don't like things to hit me like that. I like to plan ahead for things, and, inevitably accidents happen, and, that's life. So this sounds really mean, but I'm more calm when things happen to me than I am when things happen with a family member or with my kids or whatever. And I don't know why that is. I have more patience with myself than I do with other people, if that makes sense. I mean, and maybe some people are like that. It's not a good way to be. I'm not proud of myself for being that way, but I know my husband was in an accident with his truck a couple months ago, and I was just so upset with him because he had just bought the truck, and I know my husband and the way he drives, and he doesn't pay attention very well. And he won't wear his contacts, and just all these things that he's supposed to wear. I mean, by law, on his license, it says you need to wear, you know, you need to wear something for your vision, and he doesn't do it. So, because he doesn't like them. But, so I know he can't see very well, but, yeah. So, I mean, when that happened, I was really upset with him, because I thought if you would have been wearing your contacts, you probably wouldn't have gotten the accident, because his accident was because of road construction. I mean, he wasn't paying attention, and he plowed into some road construction. And I wasn't very patient or understanding. And when I had my accident, he was extremely patient and understanding. And it just feels like you feel like a heel when you're not as understanding with them as they are with you. But anyway, so where was I when I was reading? Okay. Oh, I was talking about not being spontaneous. And she was writing that she's not spontaneous either. After I'd come up with every conceivable reason to turn down a free trip to my favorite country in the world, my passport was out of date. Who would look after Katie? I'd have to juggle my work schedule. I just returned from a vacation. My husband said quietly, "So you're not going to ride the elephant?" I smiled at him, gently learning the important lesson about being open to receive, and enjoyed one of the most delightful weeks of my life. If we are willing to learn our lessons gently, they patiently await us in countless ways. Today, try listening to the wisdom of children, accepting the loving kindness of a friend, reaching out to those in need, asking a colleague for advice, acting on your intuition, laughing at your foibles and frailties, and accepting them with love, observing how your pets live so contentedly in the present moment, rediscovering the surprising healing power of spontaneity, focusing on the good in any situation you are now encountering, expecting the best of every day, and realizing what a wonderful life you're living sooner rather than later. Of course, the unexpected often catches us by surprise, but if we are open to and grateful for gentle lessons, new teachers will appear in our path. Serendipity can instruct us as much as sorrow. And I just thought that was really beautiful. Okay, so this is the planner portion that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to share those other days too because I thought they were really inspirational. But this is probably the best and most planner related part of. This is day 3 or August 3rd, a net for catching days. And here's a quote by Annie Dillard that says, "A schedule defends from chaos and whim. It is a net for catching days. A schedule is a mock-up of reason and order, willed, faked, and so brought into being." A friend of mine has a theory that it's not so much all we actually have to do in any one week that kills us. It's thinking about all we have to do. Isn't that the truth? Alice came to this awareness the week she forgot to attend the annual Mother's Volunteering Session for her daughter's Girl Scout troop. Being an extremely organized person, she assumed she'd remember it. No need to write it down. But she forgot because on that crucial day, she experienced scheduling system failure. And I have done that too before when I have forgot to plan. When all available RAMs of memory in the brain circuitry become overloaded. The next morning, when a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach awakened her, it was too late. All the easy jobs were gone. Only one job remained, which is how Alice became this year's Girl Scout cookie sales manager. Here's a simple, abundant strategy, even for the organizationally challenged. To bring more harmony into your life, it will free up those vital memory RAMs so you don't end up tracking the sale of Samoas versus chocolate Thin Mints. Unless, of course, you want to, in which case, perhaps, you'd like to get in touch with Alice. Take 20 minutes each Sunday and sit down with your calendar, a pad, pen, and yellow highlighter to map out the next 6 days with a thorough to-do list. Then take a preliminary look at the following 3 weeks. I try to do this every single Sunday. Sometimes it takes more than 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes less. It depends. I don't always use a yellow highlighter or a pad and a pen. Usually I use Post-its, stickers, and so forth. But I do always take a preliminary look at what my weeks ahead are happening. And usually in my mind, I'm already thinking about it. I'm already thinking about what's coming up. Hunter's birthday is next Saturday, so I know that that's coming up. His senior photos, her senior pictures, are on the 8th, which is this week. Ethan has a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. So I know, an eye doctor appointment, and I know that these things are coming up. I also have schoolwork because I'm in college. So that also is on the agenda. I have things that didn't get done last week that need to get done. So I have a lot of stuff jumbled in my head, but if I were not to write it down, and some weeks I forget to plan or I don't have time to plan, and those weeks are total chaos. Total chaos. I am the type of person who has to write it down. So in order to cast a net that really catches days, you need to consider all the tasks you do in one week, both professional and private. This is not for the faint-hearted, but it's crucial. Be of good courage. Here's what you really do each week. So this is kind of a specific list of things that you should not forget. And I kind of like the tally of this because it's really cool to see, kind of work through your head, okay, what do I have to do? And this kind of categorizes all of that stuff. But then at the end, it prioritizes something that we most often forget or neglect. So the universal to-do list for work: meetings, prospecting, marketing, publicity, desk, tasks, planning, billing, reading, researching, writing, traveling, errands, banking, cleaners, library, gas station, video store, post office, children, school, health, lessons, sports, scouts, carpool, clubs, playdates, parties, appointments, health, fitness, beauty, automotive, animals, shopping, food, clothing, drugstore items, home, gifts, correspondence, bills, letters, cards, and packages, telephoning, home, cleaning, laundry, decorating, improvements, cooking, repairs, entertaining, gardening, family, friends, church, community, personal, inspiration, introspection, rest, recuperation, relaxation, grooming, creative excursions, educational, pleasurable pursuits. So all those things are important, but not the most important thing. All of these things generally take precedence in the order that I listed them. However, the most important things she talks about now. After doing most of the above, it would seem there'd be no time left for the last and most important category: personal. The way to solve this real-life dilemma is to move personal from last to first, making it a top priority as you plan. Start by taking your yellow marker and blocking out an hour each day on the calendar. On your list, write out your initials 6 times as a subliminal code for self-nurturance. The subversive beauty of this method is that once a task is committed to a list, whether it be errands or personal, you don't have to give it another conscious thought, because the left side of your brain, the location of logic, loves lists. It goes on automatic pilot when making lists, sorting and shifting until a schedule appears that can accommodate everything. Sometimes it's even manageable. If you ever hope to get it done, write it down. Scan your list morning and night. When you've completed a task, ceremoniously cross it off with a red marker. I prefer a red calligraphy pen. It imparts a great sense of satisfaction to see the list fill up in red during the week. If you feel you spend too many days accomplishing little or nothing, keep a what I've done list for a week. You may discover that you do a lot more than you realize, or give yourself credit for. You'll probably also discover that golden moments were unconsciously squandered because there was no net to catch them. Moments to grow, to dream, to nurture your authentic vision. Writer Annie Dillard believes how we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. And we all know the truth when we hear it. So that is basically what I wanted to read to you, because it is so important. so many times, like this whole weekend has been, my kids went to Indiana last Wednesday. We drove them up to Indiana, to Fort Wayne, spent the night in a hotel, which was a complete joke. I had homework to do that was due on Thursday night. Well, I thought it was due on Friday, but I don't know what happened. But I realized that it was actually due the night before at midnight. I was thinking midnight the next day because it was dated. It was dated for Friday, but it said midnight, and I was thinking midnight Friday, but it's the day before because technically midnight is the next day. Well, I thought I had this all planned in my mind that I would work on my schoolwork after we dropped the boys off, visited with our friends at the hotel because it had free Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi sucked really bad. Wasn't able to do my homework. I was not happy at all. And there was road construction on the way back home. It just seemed to take forever getting home. We didn't get home until 5 p.m. that night on Thursday, late Thursday afternoon. Then my friend Katie came over. She was here for a couple hours. And so I was like, just like my mind was about ready to explode. And I was doing homework while I was talking to my friend at home. You know, I was reading stuff that I needed to read and stuff. I was on my computer. I was visiting with her while I was doing homework. And, but I still had this paper that I had to write. And so after she left and went home, she ended up eating dinner with us. And then, we invited her for dinner. And then she went home and I wrote my paper, got that turned in, about 8:30 p.m. I thought I was done for the night. I knew I had a couple of exams, but I thought they were Friday. Didn't worry about it. And I looked and they were due by midnight on Thursday. And I was like, crap. And I hadn't finished the chapter that I had to, that the exams were on. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, and it was by this time, well, it's like 9 p.m. So I finished the chapter, taking notes, went over my notes, took that exam, thought I was done. Then I realized there was another exam. And I was alerted. It's like, you have 30 minutes before this exam is late. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I never wait till last minute to do schoolwork, ever. Never in my life have I done that. And dang it, I was like, this is not me at all. If all these things hadn't gone wrong, I would be, this just is not me at all. Well, I took that exam. I got one wrong. Got 100% on the first exam. Got one wrong on that one. And then it was like, do you want to take the exam again? Because you get 2 chances to take the exam. And I was like, no, I'm just going to leave it. I don't even have time. I'm too tired. My brain is like ready to explode with all the overstimulation of the day, of all the craziness. And then, so I finished that and I was like, okay, so I put my computer away. By this time, it's like 12:30 after I get everything put away. And I can't go to sleep because my mind is just so overstimulated. So I'm just laying in bed and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Can't go to sleep. So all night, I just kind of tossed and turned. I was so frustrated. And the next day, I got like 4 hours on and off, 4 hours of sleep. Got up, went walking with Katie at 6 a.m., went to rehab. So tired, so freaking tired. But I still had more homework to do that is due on Monday, which is tomorrow at midnight. And I was like, okay, I got to work some of this today. And Katie had invited me over for dinner on Friday night. And that's when I got in the car accident, which also I was so exhausted, so tired from the night before and everything, just like building up with this, staying up late to finish my schoolwork, all this stuff, and I had not taken a break. I just was just trying to get everything done, and which was so ridiculous because it probably contributed to the fact that I had the accident, because I was tired and I was like, just my brain was just not where it was supposed to be. It was just, I don't know. I can't explain what happened. But anyway, so then, because I was so close to her house after the accident, I still went over there for dinner. Had dinner there, but I had to get home before it got dark because of the headlight situation. So I got home yesterday. I went walking with Katie at about 8. She came over about 8:30. Had coffee here. We visited for a while. We went walking for an hour, and then we went to the farmer's market. I came back here. She went home, and then from that point on, like from 11 o'clock that morning to 10 o'clock last night, I was doing homework. And I had an exam, and then I had this assessment that I had to do. And I still have one more paper that I have to write either today or tomorrow, that is due tomorrow night at midnight. And then I'm done for this week, and then a new week starts. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's just been, like, I never dreamed that school would take up so much of my time. I thought that, but I'm so, like, I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to school that, like, 100% is the only option for me. I'm that type of person where I'm just kind of OCD about getting perfect grades, and even that one wrong, I was just like, but I had to let it go. I had to let it go because I knew if I took the exam again, I might run out of time. And yeah, so I just had to do it, and and I had to take the one wrong, which is not horrible. I mean, perfection is overrated. But anyways, this video is 42 minutes long. I'm not going to add the planer video onto it, but I just thought that I'd talk to you guys a little bit and, read that portion of that book. I thought it was pretty interesting, so. But, yeah, so the video after this will be actually the planner video. But, I mean, I thought that the book, I think it's a good book. Like I said, I read it every year. I think I've owned it for 10 years now, and it's one of my favorite books, and I continually read it all year long. Just, maybe I'll skip a couple weeks or whatever, but it always offers new insight, and if I've forgotten something, it always brings it back to the forefront of my mind, and I think that is a pretty cool book. So, and she has other books out there too. I own another one of her books. I think I only own, no, I actually own two more of her books. But yeah, I think she's a pretty good author, even though she hasn't written in quite a while. But I have a lot on my plate, so I should probably go. I decided that I was going to take a break this morning, but it's already noon. And I need to get outside and trim my weeds because I haven't done that yet. And so much more before today. We have to drive. We are going to drive to Danville to pick up the boys. Pardon the no makeup look, but it is what it is. Because our friends we're meeting halfway, but there's a lot of road construction. That's what took us so long getting home. So they didn't want to run into that, especially on a Sunday afternoon. So we're going to meet in, what is it? East Lafayette. I think East Lafayette or something like that, or North Lafayette or something like that, Indiana, which is about a 2.5 hour drive. We're going to meet them. Katie's going to come with because she wants to see our friends, and then I think we're going to go out to dinner and come home. But we can't leave until 4 because Scott doesn't get done with work until 3, and then Katie's going to come over, and then we're going to leave for there. So but I have that to do. I have to write that paper. I already kind of know. Last night, before I put my stuff away, I kind of did a rough draft of the topic that I'm writing on. So, and some notes that were just kind of like, kind of a brain dump. I did that last night, so it'd be easier today to put my paper together. So I need to do that, and I'd kind of like to get that done before we leave. But that's about it. So, but I thank y'all for watching. I know a 45-minute video of me talking is probably not the most interesting thing in the world. But I hope I offered some insight to you in scheduling and planning. And if you care to watch my planner video that'll come up next after this video, then stay tuned and click on the next video. Hoping to get some scrapbooking done soon because my creative juices are driving me crazy. I need to have a creative release after all the stressful stuff that I've been through this past weekend. But I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.